you guys, welcome back. It is time for our July garden tour. So today I am going to be walking you through the vegetable garden to see what has changed since our June tour. And let me tell you, a lot has changed. Everything is looking so great and it's grown so much. So let's go and check it out. So today's tour is going to include just the vegetable garden because my garden tours have been taking so long. I could talk forever, so look out for a part 2, and that will be all about the herb garden. So I'm gonna start here in the first row, which you guys may know is the onions. So I have got onions in 3 different rows, but I've got about a third here in the front that is onions, and then my whole second row is all onions, and then my third row, about the middle third, is onions. And the onions have been very quickly coming to the end of their kind of life cycle for the year. They are starting to lay down, and that tells me that they are ready to be harvested. I've probably already harvested about 20 or so onions and have them hanging in the garage. So as you can see, I have got a lot more that are ready to be pulled and cured, which I typically do these days in the garage. And I hang those on a panel of chain link, and that's what I've been doing the past year or two. So in this first row, after the onions, we've got the zucchini, and they are so huge. And I, of course, have already harvested a ton of zucchini. I really don't need more, and they are still producing very, very heavily. And, you know, zucchini you could share with everybody. Look at the size of this one zucchini plant. It's huge. I actually just looked, and there's about 5 or 6 zucchini in this one plant that I can go ahead and pick right now. So if you guys remember in my last garden tour, I said that I was seeing a few squash bugs on the zucchini and the summer squash, and I just don't have that anymore. I picked it off twice. I picked them off. There was a few here and there, and after that I never saw any more. So I think that the problem took care of itself, or just the few that I had seen was all there was. And so they are doing excellent. The jalapenos are doing fantastic. As you can see, they're getting quite large, some of them bigger than others. We've got 8 healthy growing plants here, and we even have some of our first jalapenos on. So can't wait to start canning peppers. I love canning pickled jalapenos. And this year, of course, we have some new varieties, so that's going to be really fun to can too. So here at the far end of the third row, we have the cabbage. Now these are the Dutch flat cabbage. I've grown them for a few years now, and I absolutely love them. They're very big and have a nice shape to them, but they are a little more flat than round like your traditional cabbage you might be used to. But they grow huge. And I love all of the leaves on the outside. I break those off sometimes throughout the season and feed them to the chickens, and they just adore them so much. So they are growing super good, and we've got a couple really nice heads already. So it won't be long, and we're gonna be harvesting those, and it'll be cool to make some home fermented sauerkraut, and also to put it in some salads for my husband's lunches. So yes, I really wanted to get some netting this year, but I just wasn't able to get some netting. So there are some little nibbles on the outside leaves and stuff, like there always is, but nothing that's done too much damage to them. So they're really doing well. All right, and then at the other end of the third row is the broccoli. So the broccoli is doing well. This one here has already been harvested, but there are lots of little flowerets yet that we can harvest throughout the summer, which is nice to have. It goes great in salads and stuff. So these ones I have not harvested the heads off of yet. They are a little bit smaller. And yeah, I think there's 4 plants total. And to be honest, I don't really eat a lot of broccoli, but I do love growing it. And I've said it before, I love growing it to feed for our small animals like rabbits or chickens and stuff like that. So in the middle of our 4th row is our summer squash. I forget the variety, but it is a yellow crookneck variety of some kind, or just yellow summer squash. I love growing summer squash, but unfortunately me and my daughter are the only ones in the family who actually love eating it. I really just love it pan fried in butter with some salt and pepper on it. It's so good. But with just a handful of plants, it is so easy to be overrun with zucchini and summer squash. They grow so prolifically. I just have a ton of them, and I've been just putting them down in the basement in these really cool storage crates that I have. And they stay fresh down there for a really long time. So I do have a ton out here that I need to harvest right now, you guys. Some of them are pretty overgrown because I've been putting off coming out and getting them because I just have so many. They are doing so good. The plants are huge and super healthy, and really happy with the squash this year. Like I said earlier, I just haven't had any problems with pests this year on my squash, so I just can't believe it. Fingers crossed, but I really have harvested all of the squash that I need anyways. So if something does happen from here on out, it will be okay. I definitely need to come and pick these, and I think I'll wait until morning so that they're at their peak freshness when I pick them. But they're doing so well, you guys. All right, back here in the next row is the watermelon, and it is all doing so good. It's getting big, and since I don't have anything in this row here, I have brought the vines up forward so they have plenty of space to grow here. We've got several little tiny watermelon on, so can't wait to try this. Like I said, my first time with this variety, so I can't wait to try it out, see what it tastes like compared to the Alibaba. All the little watermelons are maybe about the size of a baseball, so we've got a while, but can't wait to try those. They're in really good health. At the end of this row is our banana peppers, and again, this is the first year that I'm growing banana peppers. I do jalapenos and green peppers every year, but I've never grown banana peppers, and I really wanted to can them. So I grew a variety from Botanical Interests this year, and wow, they're doing so good. They're growing very tall, and there is a ton of peppers on them. In fact, there's a lot more banana peppers on these than the jalapenos. So, and oh my goodness, I had no idea that they would get so big. These peppers are huge. I had no idea that they got that big. So they're like double the size of the jalapenos. So pretty exciting. It looks like I have a few, at least 3 or 4 that are ready to harvest. So I might have to come out here in the morning and get a couple to have with our dinner. I'm not sure what it'll be, but wow. So very excited to can these. Love banana peppers, and it'll be so good in like a Mississippi pot roast or something. So very cool. So this is our row of tomatoes, and I was not sure for a little while there if we were going to have any tomato plants survive, but as you can see, they have, and they are starting to really grow. I've been pruning them a lot And we've got lots of little tomatoes on, so I have not harvested any. We are not having any ripe tomatoes yet, but we do have a bunch of little green tomatoes on. So probably sometime in August we will get a big old harvest and do some canning, hoping to just be canning some salsa and tomato juice, and that's probably it. That's all I'm planning for. So but they are looking healthy and strong, and yeah, overall very happy with how the tomatoes are going after the bad start that we had. It definitely looks like I need to come out and prune the tomatoes again. And if you guys remember, I'm growing bee balm at every post of the trellis in the tomato row, and so far they are growing beautifully together, no problems. And I also have not had any tomato hornworm. So the past 2 growing seasons I have had tomato hornworm, and my husband and I come out here with our black lights at night to pick them off, and so far, fingers crossed, we haven't had any. So I will let you know at the end of the season if we did ever end up finding any. And in this aisle, you will remember we had the peas growing here. So it was my first year growing peas, and they came out fantastic. The only thing I will do differently next year is grow at least twice this much, maybe even 3 or 4 times this much. They grew amazingly and were beautiful, and I had my daughter take care of these for me, so I didn't even have to harvest them. My daughter harvested these for me while I was busy doing other stuff, and she even cracked all the pods open and got them all into a big bowl, and we put those in the freezer. So very, very happy with those. It was a very, very good first experience. So I'm gonna be growing a lot more shelling peas next year, and also I told you guys my husband has requested other varieties of peas too, so he wants some snap peas or something like that. I really don't know a whole lot about varieties of peas, so yeah, next year we're gonna have like a whole row of different peas. And since I had this big empty spot here between the peas and the green beans, I had a ton of volunteer marigolds come up in the garden, and I thought, well, a lot of my flowers got eaten by those pill bugs. I lost a lot, and so instead of pulling the marigolds, all those volunteers, I just let them live back here. So it's kind of a marigold wonderland in this area. They're growing everywhere. I did transplant a bunch of them, so they're actually in the row instead of the walking paths, but seriously, there's at least 20 plus in the walking areas as well, and I just left them there. I don't even care. I really just want it to be full of life and growing and have lots and lots of flowers all over the place, so I left them. But I know if I let them go to flower and I neglect them, they will reseed everywhere, and I will definitely have a lot more coming up next year. So I am going to try to stay on top of it, and once they start flowering, just kind of not let them go super, super crazy. But I did transplant right here into the row, so they're not flowering yet because this is the large variety. But come fall, oh my goodness, I'm going to be losing a lot of my vegetables by that time, but the flowers are going to be taking over and looking stunning. I did put one of my extra cabbages right here. It's just starting to form a little cabbage head, and this one is quite eaten by little pests, but it's still growing and looks fine. And then right here is the green beans, which look great. They are thriving. They always do. And if you guys came along, we just canned some dilly beans with these, and I am positive they need to be harvested again already. Yes, there is a ton of green beans in here that are ready to be harvested. So I'm gonna have to plan very, very soon to come out in the mornings and pick a bunch more green beans, and we're gonna have to do some canning. All right, this row number 8, is where we planted our potatoes together. And as you can see, the plants have pretty well died off. And these are going to be ready to harvest whenever I get the time to. So perhaps this weekend, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes, but these are definitely ready to be harvested. I have waited longer before. I know, like, my mom says that I think she waits until like the first frost or something, but I tried to wait a little bit longer last year and I had a lot of rotted potatoes. So as soon as my potatoes, the plants on the top, the visible part, is about 2/3 to completely dead, that is when I go ahead and dig up and harvest my potatoes. We've already harvested a couple little spots that I told you were volunteers, and they were fantastic. They were russets though, and this is a row of our favorite, which is the Yukon Gold. So I always love harvesting our potatoes. It's really exciting to see what you get and the size of them and all of that. So not a very pretty row right now. It is kind of ugly, but it is beautiful to me because I know what's waiting underneath for me. And in the next row, you guys would know that was supposed to be my sweet corn. My second year not getting to harvest any corn, which is such a bummer. I was really looking forward to trying this variety. It's called True Gold. I got it from Baker Creek. But it did not turn out because my seeds were stolen. We really need to get the back part of our fence put up. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that as long as it's done by the end of fall, I really don't want to have to worry about any construction in the garden come spring. So hopefully, we've just got this back wall and the side wall behind the camera here that needs to be fenced in. It's just been really busy, and we've had family come over, and then we all took turns getting sick. And then, you know, when my husband's had time to come out here and do it, it's been raining. So I can't complain about the rain though. I haven't had to water my garden at all this year. 2 times when I first planted, and of course when I had seeds out here sprouting, I watered, but once the seeds were sprouted, I have not been watering this at all. It has been just raining, perfect timing of rains. So anyways, because that corn didn't come up thanks to a mole or a vole or some kind of ground critter that ruined my seeds, I went ahead and put a cover crop in here. So I've got buckwheat in here, and unfortunately it's growing great, but unfortunately I can see the deer have been in here, or rabbits. I'm not sure which. I'm pretty sure it's deer because I think I've seen footprints. I've seen hoof prints in 2 different spots, and also I noticed one of my banana pepper plants that has been topped. The whole top's eaten off. And there is a big section down here where I can see what looks like a hoof mark, and some of the buckwheat is gone. And yeah, so there's been some deer in here. So we definitely need to get the fence up. But so far, everything's doing great, so I can't complain. And in the last row of the garden, it starts out with a big old pumpkin patch. So I've got, I think there's 8. I think I've got about 8 pumpkin plants, and this is the little sweet sugar pumpkins, the ones that are best for pumpkin puree and stuff like that. So I have got those, and I have them growing. Most of the vines I pulled back to the back of the garden, and they kind of grew up over the raised beds because there's nothing in the raised beds. They were supposed to be strawberries, if you remember, but they did not take. So I just let the pumpkins grow back there and grow wild, and they're doing fantastic. I've got so many pumpkins in there. I'm definitely going to have plenty that I can share with others who need them. Right here next to the pumpkins are the mild peppers, the green peppers. These are the California Wonder variety, and they are growing fantastically. There's lots of flowers on them right now. I don't notice any actual little green peppers growing yet. One did get the top bit off as well from the little deers. Next to the bell peppers. Oh, and I'll show you something real quick that's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. Why does he have to sit there? I try to be friends with all of the spiders that choose to live here, but it still is unpleasant. So right here I have 4 very, very sad looking cabbages. Those were starts that I had left over, and I figured why not just put them in an empty spot. I know it's usually ever slightly more shady back here, so I thought even though it's going to be really, really hot for them, they're not really going to like it. I figured I would give it a go. And currently it is sweltering. It is so hot and the sun is blazing on us, so they are not happy. And the last over here is our cucumbers, and everything right now, like I said, is so hot. The leaves are really kind of droopy on most of these things, but these are growing really well. I did lose more than I had hoped, so I don't think I'm gonna have enough to do like pickles. Luckily, I don't need pickles, but I hope to can some dill relish though. So I think we'll be able to can some dill relish. I've got several here that I can definitely come out and pick tomorrow. We'll harvest some cucumbers. But down here are the market more. So these are going to be more of your slicing cucumbers, and the ones at that end are like your Boston cucumber, like a pickling cucumber. So they're doing really, really well. And they definitely outgrew the trellis very fast. They are much taller than that trellis. Probably next year I'll plan to extend my trellis and grow probably double this. For a few years I used to grow a whole row, but I just had way too many. I got a nice supply of dill pickles and stuff, so I just don't really need a whole row, but I'm thinking probably half a row for next year for the cucumbers. And this little birdhouse here that my husband made has a new resident. So there is a little family that's moved into this one back here too. And real quick, I wanted to update you guys on the grape arbor. As you can see, it is not finished. My husband was wanting to wait on this and not do any disturbance to the vines while they are growing grapes. As you can see, especially this one, this is our biggest grapevine. It is loaded with grapes and they look so good. I can't wait for those to be ripe. So we definitely did not want to go and try to pull this vine off of the fence right now. So we are waiting for them to be finished with their grow season, and then we will continue work on this. My husband did start to set some more posts for that arbor, and the trellis is kind of hanging here by my shepherd's hook there. We have it pinned to that shepherd's hook so that we could put in new posts here and down there. And yeah, but there's definitely a lot more work to go on this, but probably this fall, once the growing season is done, we're gonna start work on that, and that is gonna be really, really cool. I think it's gonna be like the finishing touch to our whole kind of design out here. So that's about it. Our grapes are doing really well. We've still got a lot of work to do out here with just finishing our kind of remodel that we've done this year. We've got a lot of cardboard that still needs to go in and a bunch of wood chips that need to go down. We've got weeds that is not ideal. So we definitely need to be adding more wood chips, but I could not be happier with the state of the garden right now, and especially with our rough start that we had. It's really come along and everything has grown so immensely. So yeah, very, very excited and can't wait until next year. I always think to myself, oh, next year is going to be even better. I can't wait till next year. And like this season just starts and I'm like, oh, I can't wait till next year. I know what I did wrong, or I know what I'm going to do better. So yes, always trying to improve. But I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along with me and seeing the garden, and make sure you keep your eye out for a part 2, and that will be going through the herb garden. And I'd like to hopefully tell you guys why I'm growing some of the stuff I am in the herb garden and what I use it for and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, make sure that you guys subscribe and like this video, and we will see you guys in the next one. God bless you and goodbye.